Good morning, good afternoon, guys. Welcome back to another Geek Tavern. As always, it's me, Sean, and I'm joined by Mike.
Hello.
And Aaron. And we've had a little bit of a hiatus, but we're back to talk about Mike's recommendation, which, if you forgot, was Damage.
We all forgot.
I've already forgotten about it.
Starring Stone Cold Steve Austin. It came out in, 2011?
2009.
2009.
2009.
2009. Yeah. It follows John Brickner, a recently paroled inmate from prison, and he is approached by the wife of the man that he murdered, and is basically being used by her to make a bunch of money so that her daughter can get the life-saving surgery, and he falls in with a underground fighting ring to make the money. So that's the movie.
Yeah.
All right, what do you guys think of Damage?
I have a fun fact about this movie.
Okay.
It was made for $4 million.
Yeah, I believe that.
And even in 2009, that's still an astonishingly little amount of money to make a movie.
Honestly, it was pretty decent for $4 million.
I mean, if anything, that makes me appreciate it more.
Yeah.
Actually.
I was like, wow, that is so little money. That's like on the lower end of an indie budget movie.
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
Okay, so you had to pay Walton Goggins $500,000 probably.
I mean, he wasn't even famous when this movie came out. So probably not even that much.
So you probably had to pay Stone Cold $1 million. So there's a quarter of your budget. Now, I mean, you say that, but he's big. He's big.
He is.
He's one of the biggest wrestlers at that time. So it's okay, you have to pay him at least $1 million.
I mean, at this point, he was retired for 6 years.
Yeah, yeah, but still, he's a well-known name.
I think this was his second movie. This was after The Condemned, I think.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. And he was in there with
Was this? I didn't look this far into it, but was he? Was this a passion project thing? Was this his deal, or was it...
No. He was signed on.
Sean Levy film.
I mean, don't quote me on any of this because it's just from what my memory thinks it was. I believe he was signed up with a movie agency, and he signed on for X amount of films.
Yeah.
Because there's 5 films that came out.
Okay.
They had to pay him his rate.
Yeah.
So The Condemned was a WWE film.
Yeah.
But I think this or one of the other ones was his first outside of that.
Okay. All right. Well, like I said, insane budget.
Yeah.
$4 million. That's barely anything to make a fucking movie. So, Lamageddon was probably $4 million. No.
Lamageddon was 10,000.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
Joke aside, but yeah. So, commend the movie for simply that much.
Condemn the movie?
Yeah, condemn the movie. Yeah, but the story's pretty weak, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love this story.
I wish they... So one thing, they never say... they allude to John killing this guy.
Yeah.
But they never, say why.
They
say that...
a flashback sequence, of, them showing the actual thing happen.
Yeah, him... So they're, saying, oh, he killed him with his bare hands, he strangled him to death or whatever. But, so we're, we know the wife character... And she mentions, I know that it was self-defense or whatever, but it's okay, I feel that line was thrown in to be
I guess that ties in with what she says later. She basically is I know he was a shit person, but he loved me.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Which, that's another thing. I said to Mike when we were watching this that I don't think that's how that works. If, you write in and you're I want them released.
Yeah.
It's I don't think that's... I don't think, anybody, at the prison reads that and they're well, I guess we gotta release him. She said okay.
I guess a letter of recommendation is what you would call it.
I don't think
but
that
a
works,
character
though.
thing. I don't know. I'm not that well versed in the prison system.
Are you telling me that if I wrote a letter to have them release some serial killer?
Yeah, but the difference
are you the widowed wife of that person?
You're not intimately related to the case and John Brickner as a person.
I mean,
so
I understand where you're coming from, but I feel like any like court would be like, okay,
it
they're
was probably
obviously
found
going
he
through
was-
some kind of mental anguish. We're still not going to release him.
He, from the case side of it, it was probably known that it was self-defense. So maybe in that aspect, when the wife is like, hey, like, it was self-defense, like, I don't think he needs to be sitting in the prison. Maybe.
Maybe we could talk the semantics of the law all day.
Do people generally get convicted and thrown in prison for self-defense, like murders? Because I feel like, like I said, I'm not very related to that kind of thing, but like, I feel like in most cases, if somebody like
Sean's like, so all right, so you're saying I got away with it.
in most cases, if you are defending yourself, you face no consequences.
You get off of the...
Yeah. So, I don't know. I feel like they just kind of threw that in because they're like, well, he did kill a guy. We have to make it seem like it was like, it was a reasonable murder or whatever.
I think the whole
Whatever
prison
that
part
is.
of the plot is just to be like, he was in jail. He's a hard guy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
He's in jail for 4 years. It's like, yeah.
It's not like the Steve Rogers transformation where he went into prison looking like Jackie Earl Haley and came out looking like Stone Cold, you know what I mean? Like
he was already
he was already probably a big guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. And some of the plot conveniences are just a little strange. Like him working for this construction company. Then, like, this dude is like the biggest fucking piece of shit ever to him, just because he's a convicted criminal. But he ends up saving his life, and that guy ends up being the son-in-law of the dude that is
He owns the company.
Yeah, he owns the company, but he's also involved in
With the
these
fighting ring.
ring.
Yeah,
things.
it's way too convenient.
I told Aaron, like, I think it was when they went to the last fight, wasn't it? Where I was like, there's a lot of people here, and nobody knows about this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
It's like the deacon or whatever is supposed to be like taking like control of all this stuff, but it's like there's so many fucking people here.
Yeah.
That tons of people know about it.
I honestly would say wow, the plot convenience here is like so ridiculous. Until I remembered what you told me today, and I was like, oh, never mind. Like, no, there's like small world shit all the time about you and my cousin pushing our other friend into, and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, because I thought about that. And I was like, plot convenience.
I mean,
and I was
shit
like, wait
like
a minute.
this
No,
does
I was
happen.
like, weird shit like that does happen.
Yeah.
So I forgave it this one time.
Yeah, it just seems like, why does this like multi-millionaire like owner of like a construction company firm, like, why is he involved in these like underground fighting when he could be involved in like actual professional like UFC fighting or something?
Yeah, but
I mean-
like the other thing too is like, why was he so like hesitant? Like, okay, so he's a multi-millionaire in this construction bullshit, right? In all the underground fight rings. Yet he is like, ooh, that's a lot to ask me for 150K. It's like, buddy, you could have forgave his debts and given him the 150K with no sweat whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I get it. It has to further the plot. But, like, if he really gave a shit, he would have been like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I'll forgive what's-his-face's debts and give you the 150K.
I mean, if somebody was
go
sitting
ahead.
there, I mean, it was 2009, so what is that?
12 years
13,
ago.
12 years ago. The person would probably be like, I want $1 million. Like, so 150 would be like, yeah, okay, sure.
Yeah, you're right. He could have been like, I want $1 million.
Yeah.
And that's like not outlandish to ask, so
Yeah.
you think that he could put up that
Well, like,
$150,000.
And, I mean, like, I get it that he was trying to leverage him in that situation because he knew that he owed him $150,000 anyway. So it was just kind of like, I don't know. Stone Cold really could have gotten more than what he bargained for in that situation, but he just kind of went ahead and was like, yeah, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
give me this much.
I'm not sure what we're supposed to feel about John in this instance, because he, like, obviously, like, I guess at this point in the movie, he's, like, done with fighting, because Like the
Yeah,
one
he
dude
walked
wouldn't.
away from the
Yeah, the one dude wouldn't let him finish the fight without killing the guy. Obviously, he didn't
His
kill
son.
him. Yeah, his son, which
Yeah.
was crazy. But so instead of deciding to have Trask was his name, something like that, like the main construction guy, was that his name? Something like that? Veltz, something.
Trask.
Yeah. No.
Trask, you're thinking of fucking X-Men.
Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, have him put up the money so that he can fight, so that he can win to save the little girl's life. He's like, forgive my friend's debt instead. It's like, how are we supposed to feel as an audience member about that? Because it's like, you kind of...
Well, okay, here's my opinion of that. Does he want to save his friend? Yes. But his friend also got himself into that situation.
Yeah, but in a altruistic way.
Yes, but at the same time, it's like, okay, you owe it to this woman and her daughter for killing her dad and her wife. You owe it to them more than you owe it to the guy who you met 4 weeks ago who's gotten you a bunch of fights and shit. You owe it more to them.
I think he saved... I can't remember the character.
I get it that he has more of a connection to him.
Well, I think he figured without him...
Reno.
Without Reno, he's not gonna...
He's not going to continue to win that fight. He's not going to continue to...
Because it wasn't the
him.
money for the girl. It was $150,000 for the fight or Reno's debt.
Yes.
So he figured Reno,
if he
we'll figure out a way.
Debt,
yeah.
Then if he won, then he gets that $150,000. He's able to.
Yeah,
pay
but he was going to leave. Like he was in the process of leaving when Reno came up and was like, "Oh, the deacon says that the cost is covered or whatever." So like he was just like, "I'm out," pretty much.
Yeah, it's.
And that's after the mother character was going to kill herself in order for her daughter to have... I don't even know what was wrong with her.
A heart.
Yeah, a heart transplant. But yeah, so like...
Which I had to make a joke when like... By the way, that cinematography of when they were trying to read the letter... When he was trying to read the letter of it saying Medicare, and I'm like trying to read it like holy shit, like the camera's going like this, and I'm like, who can read that?
They don't check.
But they're like Medicare and Medicaid does not cover, and I was like, whoa, Jesus Christ! Like
I think you're just supposed to figure out what it. I don't know if you're really supposed to read it.
I
mean, aside from that bit,
I mean, like most movies in that situation, like would go slow
or just like have
no, or they would just focus on one sentence. You would show a wide shot of the actual letter itself, and then you would focus in on one line that says Medicare does not cover cost. That would be all you need to know. But like they were like going down through it like at lightning speed, and I was like, Jesus Christ, yeah.
I don't know. The only words I saw on it was blah 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 does not cover, and that's all I needed.
Yeah.
bold capitalized letter, so it's like, hey, dumbass, this is what the letter says.
Yeah, like, and I mean, like, there's just movies that are, or for more or less lazy about it, where they just like show you a letter that's not even open that says like final notice on it or some shit like that, and you're just supposed to like
Spider-Man with Aunt May.
Yeah.
Final notice.
You're just supposed to like get it from there.
Yeah.
But no, they did a poor job of like you had to like be like on the edge of your seat like reading that, like going like, okay, all right, it's not gonna cover. Yeah.
I mean, I guess I knew what was going on, but like my eyes went right to the does not cover. So I don't know.
It said Penn Highlands Health across the top of it, and it was like, you will never be able to afford this in your lives. We can't afford it, and we work here.
So another thing in the story that I found bizarre was after Reno, like, so the plot, I don't remember the woman's name, but
Frankie.
Reno with Frankie. So Reno is apparently like doing dealings with Veltz already.
Yeah.
Like that's like they have history together. So
that's why he owes the money.
Well, yeah. So he like goes
for saving Frankie.
Yeah. And she's supposed to be like a fucking sex slave or something.
Yeah. No, he Shmi Skywalkered her.
Yeah.
He literally bought her to free her.
Yeah.
And I said that to Mike. I was like, what the fuck is this? Star Wars? Is it the prequel? It's like, I heard he freed her and married her.
Yeah, it's either like, so it was left ambiguous, but it was essentially she sold herself to him and he used her to like get rid of his aggression or something. So she was either like a sex slave or like he beat the shit out of her or something. But I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, what kind of plot point is this? It's so weird.
I don't know what city they're in, but
They're in Seattle. They're in Seattle, Washington.
I had no fucking
I
clue where
missed
this
that.
takes place. Yeah, no.
They're way up. Up
Oh,
the
so
northwest.
bringing up Frankie, I mentioned to Mike when we were watching it when they go to the boat, like for the dog fight thing, dog match, where they have the dogs there. And what Frankie was wearing, I was like, oh, she's doing her Jessica Jones cosplay today because she was wearing like a purple shirt with like a leather jacket.
with the hood even.
With a hoodie, yeah.
Purple hood.
I was like, what the fuck is happening here?
Yeah, it. I don't know. And then Walton Goggins looks like a fucking old timey newspaper boy. Like,
yeah. Every time I saw him, I was like, what the fuck? Does he work at like a country club? Like he should have like a quarter zip tied around like his neck and like walk around and be like, my father would beat up your father in a money fight.
yeah, that I don't know. There's just a lot of shit happening in this movie, and it's just like I don't know. I don't understand the thoughts of some of the
Best actor in
writing.
this movie? Walton Goggins.
I mean, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Hands down.
like this. Like we said at the end of the last episode. This was like right before he did Justified. So this was like right before Walton Goggins like
Took off.
like became famous.
Yeah.
So like. Congrats to whoever fucking got him in this movie because holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, it was a paycheck. He was like, hey, it's...
He's probably a Stone Cold fan. He's like, hell yeah, I'll work with him.
Oh, hell yeah, I'll work with Stone Cold.
Oh, hell yeah.
But yeah, he's very good in the movie,
Yeah,
despite
he-
some of the less than great shit he has to say. And then there's
Yeah,
another
some
plot.
of the dialogue
Yeah.
is not that great.
There's like another plot point with him. In order to get the money to put up for the fights, he sells his father's cufflinks, which are supposed to be like this huge sentimental thing to him. But like, we don't like. That's the only like portion of that we get. Like, just because you tell us that these are sentimental to you, like, we're not gonna feel the same way about them than you. Like, we have to see why you fucking care about these things. Because whenever you put them up to pawn them, it's like, well, I don't fucking care that they're gone.
No. And like, that's where like a lot of the shit that was in the movie like could have been cut out and replaced with other scenes. Like, he could have come up to like Reno in the evening or something like that, and he's like drinking something, and he's like talking about like he could have like walked up to him, and there would have been that scene where like Reno's sitting there like this, and he's like, my daddy taught me everything I know about like, but and then like it could have had like not flashbacks but like little glimpses of it, like that we learn the story of why he's so attached to these types of things in order for us to give a fuck about why he did that or whatever.
Like, we don't get any ample backstory to any of the characters.
No.
They're very two-dimensional in that way. It's like John Brickner was in prison because he killed a man in self-defense. That's his character. Reno is a compassionate guy that is sentimental to his dad, but he, rigs fights or whatever. That's his character. Frankie was an abused person and is now, like, together with him. That's her character. It's like they're very not well-developed characters. Even the mother is just like, my baby's going to die, and I don't want that to happen, so...
Some of the plot's very predictable, too. Like, to piggyback on that, like, we were watching it, and, like, Stone Cold goes to choke that guy who touches Frankie, and he's choking him, and he's, like, throws all three of them out, and I was like, he's gonna get hired as the bouncer. I said it out loud, and then he walks over and he sits down at the bar, and he's like, what? And the guy goes, you want a job? And I was like, fucking called it. I was like, there it is.
Yeah. And then, obviously, because Frankie is related to Reno, they find him and they, like, book fights and everything. Which is weird that, like, she had, like... So Reno's, like, involved in this underground fighting shit. And
yeah, when did she
allegedly
ever go back to 10 Bar?
Yeah, exactly.
Because, like, halfway through the movie, she just is with them all the time, and I'm like,
Maybe
did
they
she
were
lose
having a
herself
slump.
at the
Yeah,
bar?
maybe they were having a slump, so that's why she was working at the bar.
that's...
Huh.
Like their fights weren't paying
And
off.
then the first
I mean,
time we
that's
see
good
Reno, he's gambling.
Yeah,
Sure.
on the pool game.
Yeah. Well, not just that. Whenever
They
John
were
goes
playing
to
poker, weren't
interview or goes to
Oh, right.
talk about the job, he's playing poker with those guys.
Yeah.
So yeah,
John has a gambling problem, or Reno has a gambling problem.
yeah, because he books the fights and then he I know that it's like all
Which is
the way-
hilarious that his name is Reno
Yeah.
and he's a gambler.
He's like trying to make back the money in order to pay Felch or whatever. So I get that people do whatever they can, but like gambling and shit,
That's usually the people. Well, that's anyway. I think people that are in hard times sometimes they feel like that's something they could do. They're chasing that the actual payoff of winning. So
Thinking the next one's gonna be it.
the next one's
gonna
it.
be
Yeah.
it. Win $100,
People-
put
people
50
play
of it towards another, and go next
Yeah,
one's
people
gonna be
play
it.
lottery like you just save your money.
Yeah. Well, one of these times they're gonna hit big, and then,
Yeah, one of these
and
times.
then it's gonna basically just be everything that they put into it.
Yeah.
Wow, it's
It's like a loan.
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
whatever.
long term, yeah.
Long-term saving.
Yeah.
They just keep track of how much you bought, and then they're like, he spent 100,000. Let's give him 100,000. Let's let him win it this time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
we'll
give him
give him-
75,000.
Give him
And then
75.
he'll think that.
And then we'll take 30% of that.
But yeah.
Make it feel like you won.
If
big.
it was like super rigged and you had
Oh yeah.
to put in an ID or something.
Please insert your driver's license. It never spits it back out. It just takes it, and it's like, all right, have fun.
So one thing that I was surprised wasn't in the movie was Reno asking John to throw fights or whatever to because you could bet on the fights too, right? I felt like that
There was
it.
side betting on the fight, yeah.
So I felt like
Which I don't understand betting odds. I don't.
yeah, I don't get that either. But
I feel like you were expecting this movie to be Snatch, and it wasn't.
well, not even just that, but that seems like a reasonable thing to put into a underground fight.
I honestly didn't even know that this was an underground fighting movie till I started to watch. I had no idea. I didn't look up this movie or
I didn't
know
look up
anything
either.
about it.
Yeah.
So I went. I honestly thought that he was gonna be a cop or something like that. I don't know. Just hearing Stone Cold Steve Austin and the title, I was like, oh, he's gonna be a cop who his wife left him
What
or
a
some
shitty
shit
title, by
like
the way.
that. Damaged?
Damaged?
Yeah, for real.
you could have called it anything else.
You could have called it Fight Club 2, and it would have been a better title or something.
That's what I think of when I.
I feel like Bone Crusher was already taken as a movie title so that they could, which is ironic because you look up damage and there's 4 other damages.
I was gonna say there's other damages.
But yeah, it's just it's just oh, what a shit title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could have came up with
Okay.
anything else, but I don't know.
He also Steve Austin is in a movie called The Hunt.
There's or was it just Hunt that came out recently? Either way, you know, super simple.
All of his movies. Again, I don't know, but I think it was one contract.
Also, why does Steve Austin always play some kind of prisoner who has been brought in for some higher purpose?
Yeah,
Is that just that's his typecasting?
yeah.
Is there
He's
just
a big
oh,
muscle
Steve
guy.
Austin just looks like a prisoner? Well, except for The Longest Yard.
Oh yeah.
Although he works in a prison.
Yeah, I forgot he was in that movie. That's a good movie.
That is a good movie. He works in a prison.
There's 4 wrestlers in that movie.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, Kevin Nash,
Nash.
him,
Goldberg, I think's in it. Isn't
Yeah.
he?
and I forget who the fourth
Uh,
one is. But they're-
He wasn't a wrestler at the time, but the Great Khali was in it.
yeah, they're all that's right.
Yeah.
But they're all guards.
hmm
They're all big jacked up guards.
And Khali was in Condemned, I believe. I think he was one of the prisoners that
Yeah.
Austin beat up.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that movie. The Longest Yard. That's a good movie. That's one of a better Adam Sandler movies.
I saw it. In
It's a more serious toned Adam Sandler movie.
It's a
Which,
good-
I mean, it's a remake, obviously.
Yeah.
So I mean, he had to go with the story that was pre-existing. But anyway, Steve Austin either comes from prison or works in prison. That's his typecast.
Yeah.
Yes, there's some. Was he a prisoner in real life
In
at
real
one
life,
point?
yeah.
No.
And any role that he takes, he's like, I gotta be in prison somehow. gotta either work there or be coming from there. And they're like, did you like prison, Steve? And he's like, nah.
All the times he beat up Mr. McMahon to send him to prison.
But it's just part of me.
We haven't even talked about the fights or anything. But
No.
Every time I go in that ring, I see Vince's face. Like, and he's beating somebody mercilessly.
So, like, I don't know. I'm probably just blinded because I'm a Steve Austin fan. So, like, I don't know. I was wondering, like, what my viewpoint on this would be now. Because, like, when I watched this movie a lot back in the day, I didn't watch movies like I watch them now. Like, this is why I haven't seen hardly any movies.
Yeah, I mean, like, and that's the thing is, like, when we're watching these movies, we're watching some movies that we haven't watched in 15 years.
Right.
Like, and it's, as we grow as people, our tastes differentiate, and then we watch these movies and go,
yeah,
not what I remember it like,
Right.
because we were different people back then.
yeah. So I was interested to see what would happen with this watch through for me. I gotta say, I thought the fights were good.
I like the fights.
Yeah, the fights were pretty good.
Like, I was wondering if I'd catch things on, like, you know, the choreography of it or whatever. I think Stone Cold's pretty good at that part.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's very physical.
it's a working punch in wrestling, so I
Yeah.
mean, I'm sure that probably transfers over. But
my favorite fight was the one where he was fighting the dude with the around the cars.
okay,
I like that one a lot.
Yep.
I think that was
fighting the
one
the big jack dude.
Yeah, not the one where he was gonna kill him, but his brother. Or his
Oh,
Yeah, no. Was it his brother? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yaya or whatever.
yeah,
his name
yeah,
was.
yeah, you. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I like that. I like that. One.
that.
I like that one a lot.
That was a good one.
And then obviously the end one was pretty good.
With all of his watery blood
yeah,
flying
there
out
was
of him, I was like,
there
"Oh
was some
shit!"
intense like obviously not squibs or anything, but like blood work done in there too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Like one, he like at the end of the fight, he like smashes his head against the car, and there's like a huge
gusher
splattering of blood.
Yeah.
And it's like, how did they do that practically? Because like there
It
wasn't
looked
like
really
anything
good.
on his head or anything, but it looked pretty good.
looks like it came like right off his nose.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it
He
was
goes like
perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It looked. He might have been like holding it in his mouth or something, and then been like forcing it through his nose or some shit like that. But like, I was like, damn, that was
like
But yeah, I was
I mean,
like,
more
oh,
power to that guy because I don't think I could do that
yeah.
as an actor. I mean,
just in general. I can't breathe through my nose. But
It's like an anime.
so I had skipped, like I had scrubbed ahead a little bit to see like how close I was to the ending of the
Yeah.
movie at one point, and I saw a still of him like covered in the oil
Wow.
from the end fight, and I was like, Jesus Christ, he's covered in blood. I was like, what the hell happened? So whenever that end part happened, and they were like, he was like going straight for the kill at the end there, where he like dumped all those like cinder rolls.
oh
on him.
yeah,
I was like, that would fucking killed him. But he
yeah.
he dove in the oil pit, and then I was like, oh, that was pretty neat. Felt like a predator almost. He like come out and covered in oil and shit.
Yeah, I feel like that's what they were kind of going for when he was climbing out of the oil pit, like going for like that Predator or I don't think Terminator really did anything like that, but I kept thinking Terminator. I don't know why.
No, Terminator really didn't do anything.
I
like
know.
that. I
That's
mean,
just what my
aside
brain
from the
thinks.
T-1000 getting covered in like liquid nitrogen, but that was it.
Anyway, I don't know what my favorite fight is. They're all pretty good. The guy with the teeth at the beginning always stands out for some reason. I'm like,
Well, so
did he do that on purpose? Like, is he sharpening his teeth? He's just
Yeah.
sitting at home, like.
What a
They do.
horrible thing to do. Like, could you imagine just being that guy and like having your teeth rest like in your mouth? You'd be
Like
like
that.
constantly piercing your own gums.
I mean, yeah, if your jaw's not like straight or whatever.
Yeah, you'd like assuming that like he can't like clench his mouth
Yeah,
together.
like they'd have to be like.
He'd have to
perfectly-
he'd have to like do it where they would like fit in between like each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awful. Totally.
My jaw doesn't lay straight, so like.
He tried to be an inquisitor.
Actually, mine would work because my bottom teeth kind of go up in my top, so it would work. But.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but that
Teeth talk.
yeah.
It would hurt too to file your
Yeah,
teeth down.
yeah.
I would imagine.
It would not feel good
You'd hit nerve endings.
for sure. Yeah, you'd definitely be like, yeah, horrible.
Unless they were like implants, maybe.
Yeah, if you like lost so many teeth
Right.
through the fights that
Right.
you like did that,
Yeah.
that could be.
Well, I thought that it was like. So at first glance, I thought that he was fighting the dude that he fought at the beginning, but like he had like leveled up and like become better, and then I found out it was just Dennis Rodman. Which
Taking my heat from me.
that's what Mike said. He was like, oh, it's Dennis Rodman. And I was like, oh shit, it is. Like, dude's got like the big fucking earrings and the septum piercing. I was like, wow. All he was missing was the sunglasses.
Yeah,
And
then
maybe like
would have
the
been
hair
him.
dye or something.
Yeah, would have been him.
Yeah. Not Dennis Rodman.
Not Dennis Rodman. Could be.
Yeah.
Multiverse.
Well, I don't really think I have much else to say about
Yeah,
that.
there's not a lot to
I
say
think
about
we
it.
Let's talk about the score. The generic ass score.
Oh my god, it was just like plugged
They
in.
paid for 2 songs.
Yeah.
2 songs, and then they did a what'd you say? Leonard Skinner ripoff.
Oh my god, when
of Freebird.
like
Yeah,
the most blatant Leonard Skinner ripoff. The 2 songs they paid for, because I wanted to know what they were, was "Let's Ride" by Airborne, which is an AC/DC sounding rock band.
Mhm.
Like they're actually relatively known, and then this weird pop song by the Manchester Orchestra. I think I've heard of them, but it's like, well, that's where some of the money went.
Yeah. It's mostly temp music, which, like, I know this is going to be an odd comparison, but like the early MCU stuff suffered from temp music a lot, where it was just like, oh, this is like, we'll just throw this style of music in, and then like whenever they weren't having like huge score moments, like during just fight scenes, it was just like this shitty temp music.
Right.
It was basically that, like just some random temp music. They're like,
Are you
make
telling
it...
me it still doesn't?
Well, sometimes, yeah.
I was gonna say, aside from like themes, like recognizable themes for the characters, really isn't much. Like, I'll say one that stands out to me. Well, 2 that stand out to me: the first Avenger and Thor, or 2. Well, you could throw Iron Man in there too. The first Iron Man,
Right.
because you have good composers. Not in this movie, though.
And Avengers, obviously.
Avengers.
Alan Silvestri. But
I mean,
I
that's
feel like some of the
first Avenger too.
yeah.
I feel like some of the rock tracks that they had were like,
They would just come up rock. And then
Yeah.
like, on the subtitles, it was just like rock, and then it had
Yeah,
like musical,
rock
like-
music.
Yeah.
And then they just,
I think the subtitles say that because that's what they search. They're like, that one sounds good.
yeah.
They're listening to it and they're like, yeah, drag drop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like some really shitty temp music, but
Yeah.
Well, for $4 million.
oh yeah, for $4 million, like I said, hey, fuck it.
Yeah. At least Airborne got paid and played.
So that's the second. That's the 2. That's a half-year budget with the music and Stone Cold.
Yeah.
So
And then Walton Goggins for like a little bit because they're like, I guess he's getting there. And
Yeah.
then Laura Vandervoort, who plays Frankie. I've heard her name before, but I didn't recognize
looked her up.
anything she was in.
I looked her up while we were watching. I didn't say anything, but I think she was more of a child actor. She was in My Mom's Dating a Vampire
Oh,
on the
okay.
Disney
Oh,
Channel.
okay. So she was a Disney star.
And then there was another one. I can't think of what it was, but yeah, there was a couple Disney movies on there. Oh, the Alley Cats, the bowling movie.
I remember that.
Yeah, she was in that one.
I was gonna say she's like 37 now. So like when this movie came out, she was like 24, 23.
Yeah, I was 19 when this movie came out.
I was like 15.
Yeah. So the sets were very limited, but that's for
They
the
were
budget.
limited, but like
Like I feel like they're
They
just
made 'em
like,
look good.
let's just go to this fucking alley and then film. But it's before anybody says anything, quick, felt like that almost.
I will give them this. You knew where you were in the scene. Like when they went to the fight place, there was always like that car parked there
Yeah.
outside of like gate, so like you knew where you were when they went back to it.
The construction
Or,
site was probably just like an actual
Yeah,
construction
it was
site.
just a construction site, but like Veronica's apartment was easily identifiable.
I forgot to say, it was weird that they're like, "You're gonna live with us now."
Yeah, that was
You know,
kinda
that
weird.
was odd.
I don't know if that was
Yeah.
to like, hey, don't pay for that.
Yeah,
because
obviously it's like, don't spend your money,
Right,
Like,
yeah.
you know, be with us. But it's just
it is very odd.
it's just weird. Right, you're gonna come live with us.
And then, yeah, it was weird that they were like arguing about him when he lives there, and then he like showed up and he's like, okay. Like, they're like, hey, we want to talk about that.
Okay.
Like, nah, it's fine.
Yeah, that was the funny scene. He was like standing in the door frame,
Yeah,
and then
he's as big as the goddamn door frame. He's like there.
Frankie's like, he didn't mean it, and he's like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
So he walks away.
He didn't mean it. Fuck you. Just walks away. It's okay.
Rating time.
Did you say
Wait,
rating time?
Rating time.
Raid.
Raid.
Shadow Legends.
Raid Shadow. Brought to you by the Raid Shadow Legends.
Sponsor.
No, not really.
I mean,
Disclaimer before we get hit with any shit.
what would we, anyway, I guess I'll go first. So I'm gonna go like, just because I appreciate it probably more than most. I'm gonna go like 6. That's where I'm gonna go, because I can obviously acknowledge that it's not a great movie, but like I have in the past gone back to this movie and watched it, but like several times, so I do get enjoyment out of it, so it's better than average.
I'm gonna go next.
Okay.
Because I want to wait for his. I'm gonna give it a solid 4.5 because it's not a bad movie. Like, there was production value. There was halfway decent acting, so I can't like. At no point was I like, wow, okay, that was fucking terrible. Like,
Yeah.
this never should have been put through editing or anything like that. It was entertaining at points, but it didn't keep me like enthralled. Like I'll throw out a bad movie with a decent plot that kept me like cheering for the protagonist. Rambo: Last Blood. Not a great movie, but the fight scenes and shit where he kills people, I'm like cheering him on.
There's a lot of slow shit in that.
Yeah, like it's not a great movie.
Yeah.
If you ask me to rate it, I'll give it like a 5. But like, it's Rambo, and like you only watch it to watch him kill people.
Yeah.
So like, this was entertaining, but there wasn't a lot to grip me to keep me in. There wasn't a lot of relatability to Stone Cold's character. Like, in a protagonist role, I feel like you have to have relatability to the character. None of us being ex-cons or 6'5" with 250 pounds worth of muscle on our frame, we're not really relatable to him.
Yeah.
We relate to his humanity, but that's like a sliver of what happens in the movie.
Because he's barely a character.
Exactly. So, it is definitely not the worst thing I've ever seen in my life, but it's not the best thing. It is a movie, and it's a movie. Can I say it's a decent movie? Not really, but I can't say that it's a bad movie either. Because I've seen bad movies with bad directing, bad editing. That Chevy Chase, Richard Dreyfuss movie. Terrible. I rate that shit below this because it was just, editing was awful. Execution was awful. This had... Somebody was actually trying to make something. Now, whether they've gone farther ahead in their career, I don't know. But they gave it their best attempt, and I appreciate that, and that's why I give it a 4.5.
I was thinking 4.5, but I'm gonna go with 4, just because, it's a below average movie in my opinion. So, like I said, I really don't think the story works in a lot of places. It's just kind of like a filler thing. The fights were good. Most of the acting is good. I'm not sold 100% on Stone Cold, but this is his second movie, and he was a wrestler for however many years, so that's fine. I can forgive him for the most part, but yeah, that's my rating, and I'm gonna stick to that. 4.4 out of 10.
Fair enough.
The director is Jeff King. He is now a producer on the Umbrella Academy.
Oh, wow. So I guess he did go places with his career.
He was a White Collar, Blind Spot. I'm naming things that I've
It's a pretty popular TV show.
noticed.
Good for him. Yeah, he really put his best foot forward. I mean, I'm sure that this was early in his career.
This shows like he's capable of making a movie. So,
Well, he has credits for like the 90s, so this is the beginning of his career, but it's part of his career.
No, I mean, like, this was him, like, more branching out into big things.
He's only directed 10 movies, so I mean...
Yeah. I mean, hey, yeah, I feel
he's
like...
mostly a producer.
I feel like in the movie industry, in a lot of, like, artistic industries, you shoot for one thing and you might be better at something else.
Right.
Within that industry. Like, look at Marvel and shit like that. People want to be artists or writers, and they end up being great editors.
Mm-hmm.
It's just something that happens. Like, he became a good producer. All right.
Yeah.
He knows how to pick what's going to be popular.
he knows how to fucking corral people. That's what a lot of producers do. Is
Yeah.
They take care of like the money stuff and like
Right.
take care of like all the fucking busy work and shit like that.
Because they know what's going to sell.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, he's done well with his career. Well done, Jeff King.
Well, there you go.
You dropped this, King.
Well, that was our recommendation for this week. We have another one coming to us from Aaron.
Speaking of rating,
I had nothing to do with
you
this.
you kind of did.
I know I did.
You kind of did. And I'm going to save you the heartache. I mean, I'm going to cause us all a bunch of grief because this is not just one.
Of course not.
And I've rewatched...
It's not going to be all four, is it?
No. That's why I said I'm going to save you the heartache.
Okay.
We are going to watch the original Indiana Jones trilogy.
Oh, Jesus. Well, if I could do
You're not
something.
going to regret this. Try me. They're all on Voodoo.
Okay.
Well, if you have them.
Well, yeah.
We have access to them now.
I'll find them.
All right.
They gotta be on something.
If you didn't get my joke, rating Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Great.
Raiders Shadow Legend.
Well, anyway, guys, if you don't want to be spoiled for Raiders of the Lost Ark, Temple of Doom, and The Last Crusade before next episode, make sure to watch those before we talk about them, because we'll be having a spoiler discussion about them. I hope you enjoyed our discussion on Damage. I know that we sure enjoyed having it. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff, and we will see you in the next one. Have a good one, guys.